Coming to you live, baby, over the YouTube airwaves and wherever else you listen to your podcasts. It is the Believe in the Southside podcast. It's your man Steve-O. You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Shy Sox Fan. And joining me,
Carrie, what's going on, guys? Steve almost said a different name.
I caught myself.
I know that was good. You really did. You caught yourself there. But what's going on, guys? It's your boy Carrie. You can find me on Twitter at that baseball fan. Just type in that base, and you'll find me. Steve likes to make fun of that every week here. So ready to recap this series and talk about next week. And one special guy we have to acknowledge. So I'm ready to get the show on the road, Steve.
You have a special guy you have to acknowledge?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to do that right away?
Oh, I'm so down to do that right away because I think he totally deserves that.
Go for it, baby.
We need to acknowledge somebody. White Sox Twitter, White Sox fandom. The White Sox have a bona fide ace. Finally. And not even an ace, they have a top 5 pitcher in all of baseball. And that is Dylan Cease and his beautiful mustache. This man is incredible. Me and Steve here before the show were just, sitting here kind of spitballing what we want to talk about. And, I was like, we need to talk about, I don't know what's going on here. We need to talk about Dylan Cease. And just, how good his numbers have been. And Steve, what have you been saying since that Cubs start? How good has he been?
Not just good, not just great. Arguably best pitcher in baseball level. Mm-hmm. Should I run through the stat line now?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to hear it because it just proves everything to why this guy could win. And right now, if baseball ended right now, should win AL Cy Young.
I would agree with that, just based on the numbers, right? I mean, he has surpassed Shane. I know a lot of people were arguing for Shane McClanahan in the first half of the season. His numbers have now surpassed Shane McClanahan's on most levels. Other people may argue Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander's ERA is there, but Justin Verlander has a much better defense behind him and is playing for a much better team. So the basics, the ERA, the wins, the losses, the whip are going to look a lot better for Justin Verlander than they are for Dylan Cease. When you start putting in more advanced statistics like WAR, like strikeout percentage, like guys left on base, Dylan Cease is the much better pitcher. Mm-hmm. I will talk about his last 13 starts in particular, like you talked about with that Cubs start that was mentioned, starting from that Cubs start on May 29th at Wrigley Field. In 13 starts, he's 8-2, 76 innings pitched. He has a ERA. I'll start with the ERA of 0.57. 0.57. Okay. That's insanity. He has a home run rate per 9 below that at 0.47. He has a left on base percentage of 87.7%. Over 42% of pitches in play are ground balls. He's only given up 4 homers.
Just incredible.
It's just walks per 9 is down to 4 walks per 9. So for a guy who strikes out over 11 guys per 9 innings, that's fantastic. The slider, his slider is the most valuable pitch in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you don't, let alone consider him, but actually put him as the front runner for the AL Cy Young right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And he's throwing innings, right? He's not just throwing 5 innings and then, he's one of those guys who's like, 5 innings and they throw 0 earned runs, 1 earned run. He's going 6-7 innings now. He's controlling all of his pitches. And it's funny, a couple of years ago, right? Everybody saw the potential, right? You saw how we can do it against the Tigers, and everybody's like, God, what if he can just do this against every other team, right? And he's doing that. This is like Jake Arrieta level in 2016. That guy was unstoppable in 2016. I don't want to say he's like comparable to one guy who happens to be pitching like right now or was pitching. He's a Mets pitcher, but like he's having that season right now comparable to a Jacob deGrom. I'm not saying he is Jacob deGrom. Okay, that's the best pitcher in baseball. But could you say Dylan Cease is trending to be one of those top guys? Right? I mean, I certainly say yes. He's in his prime of his career. I mean, how old is Dylan Cease? I mean, he's what,
26 years old.
26, right in his prime. I'm very excited that the Sox finally have their guy, and it's not Giolito, just like Spag said, right? It's not Giolito. We know that.
Shouts to Spag for being in the comments here,
of course.
And you know what? Week. It's thank you for those of you that are joining us live here on YouTube. For those of you that do not know, we're live on YouTube with every single one of our episodes. We tweet it out right before. We give you guys a little bit of heads up. So thank you for joining us. For those of you that listen to us on podcasts as well, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, thank you as well. But come join us in the live comments. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, just speaking on that, like his slider and the spin rate and how good it is. I mean, this is the most valuable pitch in baseball. It's worth, they value pitches based on runs, and his slider is worth negative 30 runs. Like that. I mean, that's how good
insane.
His fucking slider is. It's far better. It's even far better than Colton Burns' cutter this year, which has been one of the most valuable pitches in baseball over the last few years. Yeah. So just keep that into consideration.
And you know what's funny, Steve, is Corbin Burns is a very good comp, I think, because that's one guy, his first like year or two in Milwaukee, everybody's like, this guy can be like unstoppable, Cy Young worthy. He's just got to pull it together and control his pitches, which I'm pretty sure he was pretty erratic his first 2 years, and then figure it out, wins a Cy Young. I mean, he's a top 5 pitcher in baseball, Corbin Burns. I mean, he's unreal. And people didn't want to trade that midget Nick Madrigal for him. So stupid.
I mean, it was the evolution of Corbin Burns' cutter. Like, he had developed a cutter was his big thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, that's what Dylan Cease's thing was. Dylan Cease was so fastball heavy. Okay. Yeah. Just relying on just pumping it by
Michael Kopech.
Exactly. And that's just not how the league works anymore.
Yeah.
You got to mix in multiple pitches in order to throw guys off.
Unless you're
Dylan Cease, not only with his knuckle curve, but also with his slider this year. His slider has obviously been the X factor in all of that. So,
yeah.
Well, Kerry, let's talk about the rest of this series against Texas. And I want to hear your initial response on how you feel like this series went. Was it a big win for the White Sox? Was it a meh for the White Sox? Was it a failure? Where are you at on this? On a scale of 1 to 10, how hot are you feeling?
So before I answer that, I'm just going to say Dylan Cease is going to win the Cy Young. That's my hot take.
I would love that.
I don't know if it's really it's a hot take anymore. It's my take. I think Dylan Cease is coming home with it.
I got 10 down to win 130 on it. So
yeah. I hope you win it. I'm probably going to do that here, like right after the show, just like looking at those numbers. If he sustains that, he's doing it. So Ranger series, they split. I mean, you're looking at what the team is, right? 500, and they were 500 against a shitty team that can't pitch. And, besides Spencer Howard, they made guys like Glenn Otto and Dane Dunning look like they were all-star pitchers when they're not, right? No knock on Dane Dunning, gotta like him still. I mean, he's, came up with the White Sox, gave us, Fat Boy Lynn. But, what are we doing here, right? I mean, you should have taken 3 out of 4.
Easily.
That first game, they should have. That game, I think, was the game they should have won. And they totally botched it. So I'm not happy about, being 500 against the Rangers, right? Going 2-2. But on a scale of 1 to 10, 5, right? I think that goes consistent with everything else, right? So I don't know, man. Minnesota did lose today. So they're still only, 2 games out? So this is just utter nonsense with this team in this division.
Yeah, and I think your last sentence plus the name of this episode being offensive hex in Texas, that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm below a 5. I'm definitely at a 4 and maybe 3.5 in regard to how hot I'm feeling about the White Sox. I just want to point out a stat from the first 2 games. The White Sox were 3 for 32 with runners on base. 3 for 32 with runners on base. Okay. Now for batting average, folks, that's below a 100 batting average. Okay. Now they were like 1 for 17 or some shit going in today with runners in scoring position before the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's unacceptable, especially against the pitchers that you were facing. Okay. Otto, Dunning, the other lefty rookie that they faced. It's completely absurd. The fact that they even squeaked out a win on Friday, they should feel lucky. And the only reason why they squeaked out a win is because they had Cy Cease on the mound, backed up by Joe Kelly having a good outing and Liam Hendricks shutting down the bottom of their order.
Yeah, the bullpen looked great.
Yeah, shutting down the bottom of their order like he was facing a Little League team.
Yeah.
Okay. They had 2 hits and 1 walk in game 3. In the entire game. Not just off Dane Dunning. In the entire game. What up, Louie? Good to hear Louie barking in the background. Yeah. It's absurd to me that this offense, and there's no accountability.
No.
Right? I mean,
like, after yesterday, the fact that nobody was fired, it's just beyond me now. Like,
well,
I mean, about
everybody's calling for Frank Menachino's head at this point, right?
Good.
Are you on board with that, or does more of the blame need to be shifted to the guys on the field?
Both. It's both, but like you have to start somewhere. You have to make these guys feel bad for somebody else. I know that's such a old school way of thinking, of doing things, but it's reality. I mean, like you got to make these guys feel uncomfortable because right now they're just a little too lax and comfortable. I mean, there's still 2 games out, but like, come on, do something here. Like, look at Frank's numbers. He's never been ranked better than 19 in home runs. Okay.
Right.
There is a problem.
Once in 2020.
2020 in a Mickey Mouse season.
was the outlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mickey Mouse season too.
An outlier season. And a lot of people are trying, or well, I'm not saying a lot of people. I would say probably the front office is trying to defend him based off of that. Right.
Yeah.
And there's no reason for it. Right. Yeah, guys on the field need to be held accountable, but there's a funk. I mean, this is beyond. I mean, when you talk about the back of guys' baseball cards, this is the worst season on not just the back of 1 or 2 guys' baseball cards. This is the worst season on the back of multiple players' baseball cards. AJ Pollock, Yasmani Grandal, Yoan Moncada. I mean, those are key players on your roster. And they are not just not hitting the ball. They've been not good this year. Outside of, I do have to highlight AJ Pollock. I want to highlight how good he's been in the last 15 games. 302, 388, 488 in his last 15 games. Good shit. I'll take that. But that just goes to show that a guy who started off way too slow, a veteran, finally is figuring out his way.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have taken that long for him to figure out his way. And guys like Luis should be progressing more, right? As good as Andrew Vaughn's been in slots for the number 3 overall pick. Am I correct on that? Number 3 overall. 4?
No,
Vaughn
was 3.
Was 3, and your favorite Nick Madrigal was 4.
I don't know who that is.
But it's just I don't think that his progression has been as steady as we would like it to be. And I would like to point the blame at Frank Menachino. So,
yeah, I mean, Luis has literally never hit more than 15 home runs in his career, and I know he had 2020 to deal with, but like, he's never played more than this is the most he's ever played this year, 77 games so far, and he's been he was hurt for a little bit, right? I believe this year. So
yeah, that's an indictment of the training staff too, obviously, and they've gone through their transitioning period, and they need to find some real professionals.
And that's the problem too. But that's the problem too with the development of this hitting is they have to play. You know, I mean, like Eloy's got to play. When he plays, you see what he does. Luis, you see what he does. But they just have to do it over a 162 game year. I mean, who knows if that ever happened?
Yeah.
So
and
you've seen it happen. So
Yeah, and I don't expect this offense to hit, have 15 hits or get 8 runs back-to-back games constantly, okay? But I do expect them to show some sort of consistency, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about Game 4 a little bit, just so I can be a little bit more optimistic. It's
Yeah,
nice to have
because
the,
just talking about this offense, it gets you fired up, and you're just like annoyed. I think it's more of just an annoyance now. I think everybody's just like just fed up with the shit. Like I know I'm going on a rant here, but like Steve, did you watch the pregame show at all today?
I did not.
Like, okay, so they're talking Chuck, biggest fanboy, right?
Of course.
It's Chuck and Ozzy. And Ozzy says, "What's the score going to be?" And Ozzy goes, "I don't care." And I'm like, I love it. And he goes, "What do you mean you don't care?" And he goes, "I don't care." He goes, "They should win, 8-5, 8-0, and they're probably going to score 3 runs and, maybe squeak it out." And like Chuck was like agreeing, and like I'm just like, holy crap, like people are done. Like something's got to change. So,
Yeah.
just the fact that it's getting to those type of people,
It's beyond performance. It's it's culture shifting as well.
Absolutely. Like Jose's comments yesterday about how, I can't control what other people are doing, right? But I'm going to keep on doing me, right? Like through translation, like, whoa, like that's Jose Abreu. I bet he's just fed up with this shit too, So.
That's your clubhouse leader right there, So, and that says something. Game 4, there was a lot to look forward to today. Obviously, the White Sox win a big one here with a solid 8-2 victory. But my only complaint about today is with my still co-podcast host from the other side of things at Sons of Honarchy, Hot Take Tommy, who cursed our guy, Jake Diekman.
Of course, I heard that.
He's going to be, he said that he was going to be scoreless throughout his entire Sox, which obviously in hot take Tommy fashion, I didn't believe that.
Well,
but he goes out obviously the next day and gives up a bomb to Nathaniel Lowe. Nice lefty matchup that he should be in favor there. But Nathaniel Lowe is really good. He's a really good hitter. I got to give him that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he just hit the longest home run actually in Globe Life Park.
452, right? Wasn't it 452? Yeah,
452, really longest home run in that ballpark's history. Fun fact.
Super.
But
funny.
Yeah,
of course.
But yeah, no, outside of that, I feel really good about the way the White Sox look today. What are your thoughts on Gio? I want to get your initial thoughts on Gio.
Figure this shit out, man. I mean, you've done it before, Giolito, right? I mean, you've seen it happen. The guy's pitched his ass off before, right? Something's either physically off or mentally off or both. But there's no consistency with that guy. So at this point, right, if the Sox do even make the playoffs, obviously Cease pitches game 1 unless it's in Toronto. And then game 2 you're going,
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Toronto's not winning the AL East and the White Sox are not winning a wild card spot. So it's not.
So Cease would probably pitch game 1. So is Gio even in that top 3, right? So
yeah. Chuck giving up. I do need to highlight this comment from Brian. Chuck giving up is like your kid finding out Santa Claus isn't real. Chuck Garfeld.
That's so good.
That's really fantastic. Carrie, are you ready to give up?
No, once they're more than 5 games out, that's when I'm like, I'm gonna just start screaming I hate it here, which I made up. So I yell that at the games all the time. So
absolutely, I can still hear your voice like resounding over the entire section. Saying I hate it here. It's fantastic. Carrie, do you want to mimic a certain bad guy here that needs to berate Rick Giolito again?
Nah, people that go after people like Rick Giolito, I just don't get it. So it doesn't make sense. So
exactly, it's like people going after significant others on Facebook, man, or on Twitter. It's just it's just not appropriate. It's just not appropriate for Twitter or social media in general. But Carrie, you know what? I just don't get it.
I love it. I'm glad that happened. It was bound to happen once, right? So
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, Carrie.
no, I was just gonna say we got Kansas City coming up. We got 4 games in 3 days, which never bodes well for the White Sox. So, as much as you want to say, looking ahead, they got to take all 4. Be realistic, Steve. What do you think happens?
You think they got to take all 4?
I mean, you just split against the Rangers, right? I mean,
for sure.
They're a bunch of bums, right? They just traded everybody. That's my opinion. But I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I was saying, what do you think happens in the series?
So the White Sox still have over a 600 win percentage since the All-Star break, if I'm not mistaken. If I do my math correctly here, they're just above a 600 win percentage since the All-Star break, which is good, which I think is where they need to be. Obviously, with the schedule that they've had, I wish they would have been better than that, but that's where we're at, right? We came out of the All-Star break a little sluggish with splitting against the Rockies and then losing the first one against the A's. But since then, they've been kind of picking up a little bit of momentum here and there, right? Yeah. So I don't think they need all 4 against Kansas City. I would love all 4 against Kansas City. I think 3 out of 4 would be fantastic. It would be a very good place to be. I'm just going to say this. You can't expect to have 2 runs and expect to win a ball game, especially against a team on the road. Any team on the road, especially in a division against a division of foe. Against a division foe. Pardon me. The beers are kicking in. I went out for the game today. I went to. We were having some internet problems as well, Carrie, like you. And I was unable to stream the game, so I went to the bar a couple blocks down the road and had myself a nice 4 Miller Lights and watched myself the game and left after the 6th. And I was like, Sox are looking good. So
yeah, you could go home. Exactly. Yeah,
exactly. I walked home, so it was nice. It was nice to just walk down the road and go to the bar.
Nice.
But all that being said, I'm not in desperation mode yet, but it would be nice to win 3 out of 4 for sure, and especially 4 out of 4.
Yeah. Anything less? Yeah. Anything less? It's bad news.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 2, then we might be back here after that series saying, "What the hell is going on?" So, yeah, I mean, we've lost so many games where the opposing pitcher was unproven garbage so many times this year. I think that's really well said, Brian. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's the offense. I'm telling you right now, I can't even be mad about Michael Kopech's start on Saturday. Like, I know it wasn't great, and I got to ask you about that too in a second, but it's hard for me to dump the blame on any starter, regardless of how shaky they are, when the offense is so bad. When the offense gives you 2 hits throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Michael Kopech? Is he broken? Is he gassed? What's going on there, Carrie?
I don't think he's broken, right? You're never gonna catch any slander with Michael Kopech from me. I'm a massive Kopech fan, and I think the guy's got the potential to be a top 5 pitcher like Cease, right? I think he's finally hitting this is the first time in his career he's gone this long, right? Last year was different. He was a reliever, right? I mean, that's a totally different mindset and, throwing innings and, different lever, situations, right? I think he's hitting a first roadblock to where he's like, okay, shit, I got to figure out how to pitch now, right? Rather than just throw, which I think he does a lot, right? But you see some of these starts lately. I mean, 5 innings, no earned runs, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 earned runs. I mean, he's keeping you in the ball game. So I feel like the Sox could have supplemented this by getting another starter. But, Rick Hahn's a dumbass, so they didn't do it because Kopech is you could clearly see it. He's on the decline solely with innings because he's not used to throwing this many innings. So, uh, to answer your question, he's not broken. He's just fatigued. So,
Yeah, yeah, 1,000%. I would agree with that. Something that people keep forgetting about Michael Kopech is that this is his first year as an official starter.
exactly.
Okay, 2019 was his. Well, pardon me. Am I right about that?
I think it was
2019, 2018. It was
2018.
2018. Yeah, 2018 was his homecoming. Came to the Sox, had a few spot starts, then got injured.
Yep.
Right. And
yeah, didn't pitch till 2021. So he literally had like almost like a 3-year lapse, right? I mean,
exactly.
he only threw 4 games, so this is really his first year ever starting.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, 2019, he was out because of the surgery. 2020 was his opt out, and 2021, he was back in the pen. I mean, this guy has gone through, and one thing to think about as well with Kopech, he's 26 years old.
Yeah.
Right. We need to keep this into consideration. Okay. All this development that Cease has gotten over these few years, Kopech hasn't had that. And if you want to call him not mentally strong or whatever, I'm going to say the opposite. I'm going to say the exact opposite, because I think every time he gets out on the mound and he's put into a jam, that's actually when he's at his best. That's when he really shines, especially when he's consistently finding the strike zone. So that's something that he's going to work on. Cease still struggles to find the strike zone at times.
Yeah.
And he's gotten so much better at that over the last year or so, or even in the last few months. I believe the same thing's going to happen with Michael Kopech with the correct development. And yes, obviously the baby mama drama in 2020 that Brian's highlighting here. I think that's a moot point. So hopefully it's a moot point with our guy Tim Anderson too, because he has been in a funk. It was nice to see him get a rest today and see this offense boom. So was that an official suspension game, Kerry, or was he just sitting?
No, that was a suspension game, but they played it smart. So
yeah,
this is the first. Absolutely. I think this is the first time Rickon's played anything smart, and it was with a suspension. So kudos to you, Rickon. You did something right for once.
Absolutely.
Dingus.
Yeah. Now, the White Sox are out in Kansas City, Kerry. Now, have you ever been to Kansas City? That's the real question.
No, I've not been out there, and to be honest, with like our good buddy Adam living out there, I don't want anything to do with it. So
yeah, that's fair. You're avoiding Adam, is what you're telling me.
Yes, because inevitably that means I have to get drunk and then, call Billy at like 3 a.m. and get him pissed. So I'm not doing that stuff.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I do have to say this, okay? Kansas City barbecue, regardless of what anybody says, Kansas City barbecue is the best barbecue in the nation. I know a lot of Texas people will want to punch me in the face because of this. A lot of Carolina people will want to slander me. But Kansas City barbecue is the best in the nation, in my opinion. And there's 2 spots for anybody who has been out to Kansas City or is on their way to Kansas City or is listening to this podcast and might be on the road. I do have 2 recommendations. I need to share my window here for our 2 live viewers here. We have so many here. But the first one is Kansas City Joe's. Okay. Have you heard about Kansas City Joe's, Kerry?
I've not. I've never been.
Okay, so Kansas City Joe's is located in. Can you see it, by the way?
I can see it's loading. Yeah,
it's loading. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully it keeps loading up. But there's Kansas City Joe's barbecue right there. It is a barbecue shack that is located in a gas station. Okay, it's like a gas station barbecue spot, but they've got like a restaurant. They've expanded a little bit. Fantastic barbecue. They have multiple locations in the Kansas City area. Would highly recommend KC Joe's. But if you're looking for the sit down barbecue experience, there's another place. And actually, Adam took me here. It kind of looks like a BP gas station, Brian, but it's right on the border of KCK and KC Mo, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas. Fantastic spot. My favorite place. You can fill yourself up on barbecue for like $8. It's fantastic. The second spot is a little bit more sit down, a little bit more bougie for our high class folks here that like grew up in Buffalo Grove and whatnot, right, Carrie?
Shut up. Go back to Rockford.
Hey man, some of us are from the gutta. You gotta respect here.
Sorry that I was, like Bull Rat, like king of the castle on the chair,
King of the castle. I live in the chair. Da, 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 da. The second one is Q39, and this is a dish from Q39 for our live viewers. Q39 is fantastic. One thing that they do is like, as a side, you can add like extra ribs, which is a fantastic deal. Like, it's just like, yeah, can I add a couple extra spare ribs? And they do a much better job, in my opinion, than Casey Joe's at smoking their barbecue. So if you like really smoky barbecue, a lot more slow cooked, that's your vibe right there, is Q39. But when you're in a pinch, Casey Joe's is the best. So that's my analysis on KC barbecue.
Good to know that you go to QAnon 39. So
that's my God, you would go there. Don't let our guy Alex Jones Rude get any fuel right here, because I love my Kansas City barbecue. So
yeah, that is one place I do want to go see is Kaufman. So
hot take.
My mother's been there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she loved it. So
I was gonna say I loved it as well. I would say of the AL Central ballparks, hot take here, Kaufman is the best.
See, I've heard that.
The AL Central ballpark. So
I've heard that.
Kaufman, if I were to rank them really quick, Kaufman, guaranteed rates.
Yeah.
Target Field.
Yes, and then Detroit, and then
no, I would actually go Cleveland and then Detroit.
Really,
I really do not like Kamara. I really don't like Comerica. I kind of like the drop down that Progressive has. It goes, if it's
that's
still,
what a lot of
still
modern,
Progressive. Yeah, still down on like
that.
Yeah, it's like on the ground level, and it's everything.
That's how St. Louis was, and
yep,
that's how. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that. Brian here met my mother, so that was pretty funny. Brian sits in back of me at games.
That's right, and
so
he says your mom is much nicer than you, which I would probably agree with. I've never met your mom, but that checks out.
Yeah, I mean, they're saints. I am not. There's no denying that. So
that's a good. So yeah, and apologies to our live viewers for the barbecue envy here, but would highly recommend if you're ever out in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So
Steve, give me your last. Give me some last words though here, because we are over that 30 mark, right?
Yeah.
We're giving the people extra time again.
That's right. Overtime again. My gosh.
I know. I figured
it's unbelievable, man. They should be paying us extra for this. No, I gotta say this White Sox offense, it's nice to see the bats of Eloy Jimenez start to warm up after injury. The bat of AJ Pollock really starting to warm up over the last couple weeks. But it needs to be more than that, right? We need the Tim Andersons, the Yohan Moncadas, the Yasmani Grandals. I mean, in order for the core guys, for this team to succeed, these guys need to start really stepping it up. So, I mean, that is my becking call right now for this offense, for this team. I want to see them succeed, and it's just killing me to see them not reach their full potential. We saw a little bit today, but hey, quit singling these teams to death. Start hitting the long ball.
Yep.
So,
yeah, agreed. And Steve, I will take nothing less than 3 wins these next couple days. Right. I know we'll be back Wednesday, or I think the series ends on Thursday, so we'll probably be back on Thursday to talk about the series, and then go into the weekend series against Detroit. But you have 7 games here. You need to win 5. You need to go 5-7.
1,000%.
You go 5-7. You need to go 5-2. You go 5-2 here, and you're what? If they go 5-2, they'd be 5 games over 500, right? At that point, you might even be tied with Minnesota. So
for sure,
I will take nothing less, because then you got Houston, Cleveland, teams they do not historically play well against. So the more that these guys are, out of first place by the Houston series, the worse it's just going to get. So,
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up. My dad, who is a big White Sox guy, got me into this nonsense. Said that by the 15th, when that Houston series starts, the White Sox need to be like tied for a division lead.
Yes.
Is what he said, I think. And I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, you got 4 against Kansas City, 3 against Detroit. Take care of business because Houston, Cleveland on the road, and then a gap game against Kansas City. You don't even get an off day on the 22nd.
Yeah.
And then you travel to Baltimore, okay?
Who's
fighting for a wild card spot
exactly.
right now,
so they're right
gentlemen.
there too. So they better be at least tied, and they better be winning 5 of these next 7 games. So, Steve, let's hope they do it. Kansas City, they got to start with Kansas City first. So, hopefully Lynn gets the job done, at least, one of these games. And then you got Cease. So at least, you're taking 2. So, at that point, you're just hoping Kopech or a Davis Martin or a Cueto start's going to do something. So,
yeah, and hopefully we're partying hard at the Cascade concert when that happens, right? When the White Sox are on a hopefully 5-game win streak, right?
Exactly. So, Brian would say that.
I know, right? Fantastic. Yeah. So, all right, Carrie, absolute blast doing with you this as always.
Absolutely.
My words are already slurring over each other, and I've got 2 work presentations to give in my current role tomorrow, so those should be a lot of fun. So,
hell yeah.
Wish me the best of luck.
Yeah,
and
good luck with that. And
thank you.
Again, everybody, thanks for, tuning in, watching live, commenting. We love all the comments. We love everybody listening in. We'll be back, Thursday night, because there's a 110 game. So, yeah, we'll be back Thursday. Remember to, like, subscribe, follow everything on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, do it all. So, Steve, you want to close us out?
Yeah. And for those of you that are following on socials, that's at Bleav, BLEAV, Southside. You can find us there. And once again, Carrie, as he said, it's a blast. We'll be back on Thursday night and talk to y'all later. Have a good one.
Sounds good. See you guys.